This video is going to be your complete guide for driving for Uber Eats in 2024. Coming from someone who's driven part-time, I've driven full-time, I've driven in different marketplaces, and I've seen this app change, and it's also different than other food delivery side hustles. I'm going to cover all the major points and features of using this app, and first, that starts off with this home screen here. Now, right off the bat, Uber Eats is different from, let's say, DoorDash, that breaks up your entire marketplace into different sub-marketplaces. With Uber Eats, we just have one big active marketplace. Basically, that means if Uber Eats has service in your city, you can drive there. Now, another difference than, let's say, DoorDash is there's no scheduled shifts. So that could be a positive and a negative, because if everyone can just go online, then maybe you have too many drivers. And as a driver, courier, you're never going to really see that. Versus at least on DoorDash, you can only go online immediately using their Dash Now feature if it's busy enough and or if they need Dashers online. So to kind of curb that, you can schedule a shift. So if I know, hey, I want to dash, in this case on DoorDash, from 5 until 8, after my, let's say, W-2, my 9-to-5 job, then I'm going to reserve a time slot. With Uber Eats, you can't do that. But again, it does give you some flexibility to not have to worry about being able to go online. So with Uber Eats, we're going to be making deliveries. So let me show you the actual pay model for you as a courier. Number one, pickup. You receive a flat fee for picking up one or more orders from a single restaurant. When picking up orders from more than one restaurant, a multiplier may be added depending on the distance between restaurants. Drop off, you receive a flat amount for every order that you deliver. Distance, you receive a per mile rate from the restaurant to your customer's location, with the distance determined by the most effective route. And then time, in select cities, you receive a per minute rate based on the time expected to complete a trip, from when you arrive to the restaurant, including wait time, to when you complete the delivery. For multiple orders, if you complete a delivery with multiple orders, you'll receive the pickup amounts plus the applicable time and distance rates. You'll also receive additional amount for each delivery, one for each time you drop off an order. So that's pretty similar to, let's say, DoorDash, where it's basically desirability, any promotional pay, and customer tips. It's the same thing with Uber Eats. If you're going to get a customer tip, obviously you can get customer tips. You keep 100% of the customer tips. As someone who helps you make money in different side hustles, I'll tell you that the base pay, these flat rates, even the per mile, per minute, whatever it is, typically the base fare is never going to really make you the most money. You're going to need some incentive, some kind of promotional pay. So let's go over the promo pay on Uber Eats. Firstly is this surge pay. So surge as an incentive pay program, it's based on supply and demand, hot and cold areas, and it's going to be a dollar amount typically in your marketplace. Now this changes every couple of minutes. I'd say every 2-3 minutes. So I wouldn't necessarily drive to a zone if you don't know, based on your market expertise, your market knowledge, that it's going to continue to be busy there. If it's a minute, 3 minutes away, maybe you can bump over to a surge zone to try to get your next offer under that surge pay. Now that's going to be a per delivery bonus. So if you're in a surge zone, it'll add whatever it is, an extra $1, $2, $3, or maybe even more if it's very busy on your next delivery. But remember, it comes, it goes, it's constantly changing. So you really want to understand your market first, and where it's busy, we call these areas that are really dense with restaurants power strips. So knowing when to drive, where to wait, and hoping that you're driving at the right time and hoping that the app is going to give you some surge pay, that'll make you more money. But there is some scheduled or predictable bonus pay incentives on Uber Eats. Now this, as shown, this is called Boost Plus Pay. Now this can be scheduled. Look at this example right here. It'll say sign up for, let's say, $1.50 extra on every trip. It says Boost Plus. And you do have to click on this. You got to basically opt in. So you're going to go into your top left menu. You're going to click on opportunities, and there's a promotions filter there. You can see any Boost Plus or any incentives listed there. But as you might have noticed, this one is just for the ride sharing vertical. So All of that's under just the one Uber driver app. If you're doing rideshare, if you're doing food delivery, and then there's filters. There's preferences in there. So you can turn off rideshare if you don't want to do it, but you're going to have to pay attention to this because this wouldn't qualify in that case. But it can be for deliveries on Uber Eats. Just make sure you're checking that opportunities tab. In my experience in 2024, and honestly, even in 2023, I've never really seen Uber Eats Boost Plus Pay, at least not a lot. So comment down below if you've been seeing Boost Plus Pay that pertains not just to rideshare, but to Uber Eats. What I've been seeing more of, and this is what you might want to watch in 2024, are the Quest bonus offers. So the Quest offers are batched bonus incentives. So you have to do 10 deliveries, 20, whatever the denomination is, and then you get a bonus. So shown here in this example, I have to do at least 10 trips. So you have to opt into these as well. But if I'm going to opt into 10 trips, if I do 10 trips, I get $25. And then as an incentive, if I do another 10 trips, I get an extra $25. And you're going to want to look at the details of these quests because sometimes I see it as a weekend quest, as in you have to do this Friday to Monday, or it's a week-long quest. Like you have to satisfy this from Monday to Friday. Then there's the consecutive trip bonus, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So if there's an opportunity to, let's say, take 3 in a row, Uber Eats will say your next 3 in a row, if you accept it, you'll get a consecutive trip bonus. That could be take, let's say, 3 deliveries, get an extra $6. So in essence, $2 per delivery after you do that 3 in a row. But I'll just warn you, like, you don't want to sacrifice your time, mileage, or accepting really low offers just to get the consecutive streak bonus unless the math makes sense. For instance, let's say it's a $6 offer. It's okay. It's paying $1.50 a mile. Our channel goal is $1.75. If you're doing $2 to $3 plus per mile, you're doing really well. But okay, it's a $6 trip. The mileage is okay, but if I do 3 in a row, in essence, that $6 trip turns into an $8 trip. Now let's determine how to accept an offer, because once you start getting offers, you only have typically 30 seconds to make a decision. So this offer screen is going to pop up, and in essence, you're going to have to make a decision rather quickly here. So this is what I look at when I get an order request. First thing, obviously, it's the expected pay amount, because my minimum cash flow for you, which means the minimum amount that I'd really want you to take, is $7. So this one is $6.96. And below that, you can see includes expected tip. So $6.96, that's decent. It's not super high. And let's move down from there. It's going to take approximately 15 minutes from the pickup to the drop off, and 2.3 miles. And typically that's measured, again, not from your current location per se, but from the pickup to the drop off. Now remember, our goal on the mileage there is $1.75 paid up per mile. But why? Because, well, obviously it costs money to operate the vehicle, insurance, gas, all of that stuff, maintenance. Now, here in the US, the IRS is going to give you an optional standard mileage deduction. At the time of filming this in 2024, it's 67 cents per business mile. So that's accumulating those vehicle operational costs, and the IRS says approximately it's going to be 67 cents to operate that vehicle for business. So if the operational costs are 67 cents and you're accepting $1 paid out per mile, the actual net revenue, and remember, this gig work is before taxes, that margin there is quite small, and you're putting mileage on your vehicle. So is it really worth it? And of course, are you really making money? I want you to have a larger margin there. So if it costs this, I want you to aim for much higher, so we're actually making money on paper. But let's move on. Going down to the restaurant here. So whenever you see the pickup location here, restaurant, it could be retail though. It could be a grocery store, depending on the order type. You need to think, how's parking there? Have I had any issues there? Is it going to be a long wait time? Is it late at night and the lobby's closed and it's just going to be the drive-through? And this is a really popular spot, so I'm probably going to be sitting in the drive-through for 30 minutes. Really, I look at these orders in that order because the most important thing is the pay. If this was, let's say, $4.50 for 2.3 miles, right there I'm declining. You can see the X or the decline button on the top right. So if it doesn't pass the test, the minimum gross revenue, the mileage there, the dollars to mile ratio we call it, then after I accepted that, I'll look at the restaurant. In my opinion, it's not a huge deal if the restaurant isn't your ideal, but if it is going to be a big problem, consider that you might want to decline unless the payouts and the margin is very attractive. Now, I also look at the ending destination, the positioning here. And yes, this all happens in 30 seconds, but you'll get the hang of it after, let's say, a week's worth of driving. So I'm thinking, okay, it's ending. We can see here a little bit west of my current location. Is that in an area that it's going to be busy? I can get another order request. I'm confident being in that area because I don't want to drive 15 minutes away. And it depends on your market, right? Pittsburgh here, medium, let's say, size marketplace. I don't want to get pulled away to somewhere where I'm not going to get orders. It's basically empty or less filled with those power strips that we talked about. Now, there's also times where I'll take kind of a little hit on the positioning. If I get pulled away like a little bit 4 minutes outside of my desired area, 4 or 5 minutes, it's not a big deal. I'll just drive back into my busy zone, my desired area. And I'll do that when the pay is really attractive and the margin is really high, let's say. If it's really slow, again, you might not get $7 orders, but still try to maintain the best margin that you can. Now let's look at this. Another thing that's exclusive to Uber Eats, these Trip Radar requests. So with Trip Radar, this is Uber sending the request to multiple drivers and couriers at the same time, other drivers that are online in your market. So it's the same thing though, but we get a little bit less information. We don't see obviously the illustration. And I use that illustration for what? The ending destination and looking at the positioning. So you're going to have to really know the side streets here that they give you. Uber Eats gives you intersections if you didn't know. So you're going to have to know those intersections to get an idea of the positioning, or just don't ever accept Trip Radar. All you're going to do in Trip Radar, very similar to the regular order requests, just tap that box there to, in this case, not automatically accept it, but try to match for this request. What does that mean in this case, to match with a request? Uber says they're going to send it to the best suited, best fit for this particular request. Now, there's also these shop and pay orders like you can see here. DoorDash has it. Other platforms have these shop and deliver or shop and pay requests. So with shopping gigs in general, it doesn't just have to be Uber Eats, but DoorDash, Shipt, Instacart, really Walmart, Spark, any shopping platform. I look at the item count because that's all time in the store, especially if you're not familiar with the store. Do I feel good for $13.56 for 1.6 miles and being in the store just hunting down 6 items? Now, obviously, they're going to give you the entire list of what you're shopping for. There's pictures, there's descriptions. Some apps like Walmart, Spark show the aisle number as well. Next, let's talk about rewards programs. And before we do that, can you drop a like on this video and make sure to check out yourdrivermike.com for courses, resources to help you in most any side hustle. Uber Eats is a little bit different than, let's say, DoorDash, where they don't have a rewards program that's directly tied to better orders. Because on DoorDash, there's priority access, there's Top Dasher, there might be the new Dasher rewards program, and part of their benefits are hinged on their certain minimum acceptance rate, just a percent of orders that you accept based on the prospective orders. But the benefit is getting access to higher paying orders. That's not the case on Uber Eats. So Uber Eats, their rewards program, Uber Pro, yes, there's perks there, but I wouldn't necessarily worry about Uber Pro. Frankly, I never even look at my points on Uber Pro because there's no tangible benefits. There's more order details like trip duration and ETA, seeing the ETAs on Uber, let's say, but there's nothing that says, hey, we're going to give you higher paying offers. Now, that can be, yes, a good thing or a bad thing, because if you're driving more hours, let's say on DoorDash, you want to hit those acceptance ratings. Perhaps there's a whole debate of mathematically if that makes sense to accept that many orders, but then you get higher priority to those higher paying orders. So on Uber Eats, again, I feel like research, knowing when and where to drive, and hopefully capitalizing on Boost, Quests, hopefully Surge Pay, that's what's going to make you the most money on Uber Eats. Also, there's no different earnings options or earnings types on Uber Eats like DoorDash. So DoorDash, they have earn per offer and a guaranteed pay for active time, earn by time. That's not the case on Uber Eats. It's just, we'll call it earn per offer. So I get an offer. It can be one offer or it can be stacked offers for 2 or more assignments, but then that's it. I get paid. Not necessarily a bad thing though. So driving for Uber Eats in 2024, what should you look for? What are the newest trends this year? Number one, As a warning, that surge pay that I talked about, that ever changing based on supply and demand, pay incentive, just watch that to make sure if you're getting a lot of it throughout this year, it might be tapering as these companies look to cut costs. Also, something that I followed closely in 2023 that I feel is certainly going to continue this year are non-restaurant delivery options. So the food delivery, it's fantastic. It's very easy as long as obviously everything goes smoothly. But retail, convenience, the alcohol, the shop and deliver, the grocery. So look for more of those orders in 2024. It gives you more options. Again, the shop and deliver, I think, is the only thing you're really going to have to watch with the item counts, but it's certainly going to give you more earnings options. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, you should be driving on all three. It is Uber Eats, it's DoorDash, and Grubhub. All of it, and actually regional and even local options if you want to, because if you're going to be out there, think about it, for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, you have limited time in your side hustle. You want as many options as possible. So let me know which one is best for you. Is it Uber Eats? Have you not signed up for Uber Eats? Do you have other questions on driving for Uber Eats this year? Let me know.